Native people, Native culture, Native knowledge. Hi, I'm Jeannie Green, bringing you award-winning Heartbeat Alaska.
Bringing you national and international Native news, this is award-winning Heartbeat Alaska, the premier Native voice in Native programming.
There's a heartbeat, louder than thunder, revolution is in the air. There's a heartbeat deep inside our mother. Are you too cool
to count? With Heartbeat Alaska, here's Jeannie Green.
Hello, welcome to Heartbeat Alaska, Native news and Native entertainment. I'm Jeannie Green. Thank you so much for joining us. On today's program, we travel to Canada, to a gathering at Moose Hide, Canada for a 75th wedding anniversary. Also, here in Alaska, we celebrate Spirit Days in 1996. And of course, we have your favorite Native American Canadian Native music videos. Here's Gary Fife with Native news across the nation. I'll be back in just a moment with more Native news, so don't go away.
This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife. The U.S. House of Representatives is conducting hearings into the Interior Department's handling of billions of dollars it held in trust for Native Americans. The House Committee on Resources Chairman Don Young is conducting oversight hearings in Anchorage, Alaska. A recent report says the government agency cannot account for nearly $2.5 billion worth of financial transactions. In another Capitol Hill item, changes for the Indian Child Welfare Act have passed another congressional hurdle. The House Committee on Resources has approved compromise amendments to the federal law governing the adoption of Native children. The proposed law would place time limits on when a tribe may intervene in those adoption proceedings or when it may revoke its consent. They've got a spot picked out, and now they're waiting to put something on it. What they want is a monument to the Plains Indians warriors who defeated Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer and the U.S. 7th Cavalry at the Battle of the Little Bighorn in Montana. The National Park Service has opened a design competition for the memorial, but serious artists only should apply because there's an entry fee of $25, but it has cash prizes worth up to $30,000. Contact the Indian Memorial Design Competition at the National Park Service in Denver, Colorado. The nation's Native journalists have elected a new president. He's Keith Skenador, an Oneida from Wisconsin. He's been elected to the top spot. He succeeds Karen Lincoln Michelle, a Wisconsin Ho-Chunk tribal leader who served as president of the Native American Journalists Association. 75 to 80% of the goods being sold as authentic Alaska Native work may be fakes, in the opinion of an Alaska state economic official. In an article for the Journal of Alaska Native Arts, author Chuck McGee cited recent reports saying those high percentages of merchandise have been mass-produced, have been misrepresented as to who the artists really were, and they were passed off as genuine and sold to the public. The people of the Santa Ana Pueblo in New Mexico were given back a piece of the land from the government this March. The Federal Bureau of Land Management transferred titles to 15,000 acres, that is, back to the tribe, bringing an end to an 18-year-old land debt. The transfer put an end to the checkerboard pattern of land ownership on the reservation and brought the entire reservation under control of the tribe. This coming school year, Native students will be feeling the impacts of cutbacks at the Bureau of Indian Affairs schools around the nation. A report from the BIA in Washington says rising enrollments and declining revenues will mean the schools will not have the staff to work with an estimated 50,000 students in the 187 Native schools it operates or funds. The National Museum of the American Indian is among the Smithsonian Museum components that are celebrating that institution's 150th anniversary. The Native Museum section has has assembled its first ever exhibit on the mall for the occasion. It's called Stories of the People, and it shows visitors the rapid social and cultural changes undergone by this nation's native people. And finally, the rich repository of Native history that is our elders is a little bit poorer these days, with the passage of the traditional Grand Chief of the St. Croix Band of Ojibwe, Archie Mose. The 94-year-old Mose from Balsam Lake, Wisconsin, served as hereditary leader and practitioner of many traditional Ojibwe ceremonies. If you have news about your tribe, your Native group, or an event coming up, please share it with us. This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife, and back to Jeannie and more Heartbeat Alaska.
Thanks, Gary. In Alaska News, thanks to Alaska newspapers, we travel around the state. Village News, Heartbeat Alaska style in Savunga, Alaska. An ancient tradition continues. The purchasing of a bride. Mr. and Mrs. Atungama traveled to Savunga with their boat laden with gifts. Their son Ryan fell in love with Priscilla Nungwuk from Savunga, and Mr. and Mrs. Nungwuk agreed to that marriage. In Anaktuvuk Pass, caribou are scarce. Actually, they've been scarce for 16 years. Studies are underway to find out exactly why. It's going to be a lean winter without caribou this year. However, hunting season opened for sheep October 1st, and berry picking time has started in that area. In Anchorage, Alaska, Spirit Days 1996 is underway.
We're only going to do this for about 30 minutes, so whoever's in line first, those are the ones that get to go first. And every year, some people get left out. Come on, guys, don't hurt Greg. He put this stuff together now. And
Spirit Days is an annual event in Anchorage, Alaska, a gathering of people from all over, hosted by a very special group of volunteers. Gary Fife and I attended. He spoke with President of Spirit Days Incorporated, Patricia Cochran.
We almost didn't have it this year, right?
Well, it took us a while to get organized and to get a place. We usually have it in June and generally for longer than one day, but we finally got it together. There was a lot of things happening this year, and just trying to find an adequate space was really difficult.
Now, we know we have an abbreviated celebration this year, but we're hoping that we can see more of this happening. Do you think that it was important to keep the chain unbroken, so to speak?
I think everybody felt that way. We had thought about canceling, but we had such enthusiasm from the community and people who really wanted to do it regardless of how much or how little time we had, and not exactly the same kind of Spirit Day celebration. We're doing a mini version of it, but it's still working. We're having a great time. Everybody's enjoying themselves.
Now you look familiar. I know I've seen you almost at every single Spirit Days. How come I know you?
My name's Dennis Fuller. I'm with the Clinton United Dance Group every year.
Every single year you're with the Clinton Heidi Dance Group. Where are you from originally?
I was born in Juneau and raised here in Anchorage.
And do you live here now?
Yes, I do.
This year's Spirit Days was only one day long, and is that sad to you, or how do you feel about it?
Well, it's the first time it's been one day, so it's different, but I really enjoyed myself today. I had a lot of fun today.
Hello, my name is Glen Guzman. I'm from Tyonek, Alaska.
And what's your name? Where are you from?
Mike Bruce of Millie Cattle.
Thank you so much, you guys.
My name is Ruth Koelak. I was born and raised in Wales, Alaska, and I live in Anchorage. I make Eskimo slippers, sealskin, and the trim is KOD.
How many pairs do you have here? It looks like you worked all
Quite a
winter.
few, yeah. I work all the time.
I notice that you've got some gorgeous work here, including some of these dolls. Now, look at that beautiful face. Tell me about your work here.
Okay, the face, my husband carved the face. It's from the moose bone, from the lake.
What are these? What are those with all that fluff on the end?
Yes, these right here.
This is like a southeast drumstick, but I've embellished it with polar bear. This one is sheepskin, Navajo sheepskin, leather. This one's wolf and sheepskin. This is alder from southeast area.
Traditional headdresses have shakiats. They're made out of ermine skin hanging down the sides with your crest on top.
Artists, dancers, vendors, a familiar sight at the annual Anchorage Powwow. Spirit Days 96 drew thousands. The handful of organizers once again pulled it off. Drums were heard throughout the city, a sound people have grown accustomed to.
We knew we couldn't cancel because the phones were ringing. The Daily News was getting phone calls. Different organizations were getting phone calls asking when is Spirit Days. So
Us too, every day.
So we got, we realized that we had to do it, and so we did pull it together again. And as you can see, it's turned out very nicely.
Tlingit, Haida, Yupik, Inupiaq, Aleuts, Athabascans, Lower 48 Indians, and non-natives, all gathering as one people. Spirit Days is a celebration. At this gathering, there are no politics. That's what makes this powwow so special. It's one big family affair.
I'm Dolly Priya from Barrow, Alaska. I'm Joanne Knackle from Point Lay.
Artie Sakers from Point Lay.
Lucy Inks from Point Lay.
Wangatiki Armeo, Heartbeat Alaska, Kinectola to Ariga, Huesivichi.
Arigateku. Hello, Point Hope.
Every year, people come from all over the state and from the lower 48 to attend Spirit Days. Many from Anchorage. Over 250,000 people live here. And few of the people that live here actually know that the paved streets they drive on covers ground once walked by ancestors of local tribes. George Ondola, an elder of the native village of Eklutna, gave the welcoming speech. It was appropriate that he do so, as his ancestors once walked this land.
My grandfather used this area for hunting and fishing. Yeah, there used to be a fish camp down here about a mile north of Ocean Dock. The name of that is Tanakadee, Indian name. I heard a lot about it, and that was the last smoke or fish camp occupied by the Denina tribe.
They lived in this area long ago, natives to the north, to the south, across the water. In 1778, their lives would change forever. Captain Cook sailed into their waters. Lieutenant John Rickman wrote,
Today we were scouring the woods for game when 60 Indians rushed out, all armed with bows and spears. Our Marines discharged their pieces over their heads, which instantly stopped their career.
With the contact of white man, life changed forever for natives, but in a sense, things really have not changed. In the midst of this area, there's a tradition that continues on. In Tyonek, the natives still hunt and fish, as do the natives of Eklutna. And in Anchorage, there's a population of natives who hunt beluga whale off the port of Anchorage. They load up their boats and bring home winter meat.
Where are the drums? Where have the dancers gone? When the world was free, you fed us when the world was free, you fed us when the world was free.
In the midst of Alaska's largest city, the sound of the drumbeat that once echoed off the surrounding mountains comes back every year. Organizers say Spirit Days is a gift to the city from the native population. A native population that now numbers many nations, a gathering of people who meet to honor each other and honor the forefathers and their traditions, traditions that live on in the beat of the drum. Spirit Days 1996 was a wonderful success. Hopefully next year's will be even longer, and it will be with your help. If you'd like to volunteer, contact Heartbeat Alaska and we'll pass your name on to the organizers. If you're watching the show from Canada and the lower 48, make sure you plan your trip around Spirit Days. It's a wonderful event here in Alaska. We'll let you know next year when it will be. By the way, the MC of this year's Spirit Days is Sam Lanebull. He's one of the best MCs for powwows across the country, no doubt about that. Thank you very much, Sam Lanebull, as well. In Chivak, Alaska, Chivak Tundrafest was held August 8th through the 10th, and we hope to share that video with you. I'll take a break now and come back with some Native American music videos. Don't go away.
Together.
Joanna, let me deal with this. Luke, I want a word with you. Running Bear, go home. Grandson, you can't be practicing this unnecessary violence. You can't be hurting somebody just for the sake of hurting them. You must let your heart guide you.
What do you mean, Grandfather?
The way of the warrior is to protect. It's not to practice unnecessary violence. This violence could hurt the ones that you love later on in life. You must learn this now, while you're young, while you still have a chance. The warrior's path is a spiritual path, and when you're on that path, you must learn to protect those you love, your family, and all of society. That is the path I'm talking about. Let your heart guide you. Grandson, the way of the warrior is a spiritual path.
Oh, Hashem.
To follow this path, you must live in balance with all things.
Oh, Hashem.
To be in balance, you must live in harmony with all people.
Oh, Hashem.
Violence pulls you off this path.
Hush, Hashem.
Song for my ancestors, return the prayers they gave. My blood it won't forget, and how we're here today. Yay, way,
Follow your heart's desire. Light up the sky on fire. Follow your heart's desire. Not knowing when and where to go, your heart will take you there. Not knowing what to expect, you hope for no despair. Jaded by all of the loves that I once had, stripped of my spirit, I walk alone. While picking the pieces of my heart, I found something new. Is it right to be so lost in love with you? What does it take to make you see I believe in you? A man I can trust in my life. Where do you go when a woman calls out for needing you? Where is the love that you hide? Desire. Light up the sky. Light up the sky on fire. Follow your heart's desire. Not knowing when and where to go, your heart will take you there. Not knowing what to expect, your heart will not despair. What does it take to make you see I believe in you? A man I can trust in my life. Where do you go when a woman calls out for needing you? Where is the love that you hide? Desire. Light up the sky. Light the sky on fire. Heart's desire. Light up the sky on fire. Follow your heart's desire. Follow your heart's desire.
Thank you once again for joining us for Heartbeat Alaska Native News and Native Entertainment. We'll visit Moosehide, Canada on next week's program, so join us then, won't you? For all of us here on Heartbeat Alaska, I'm Jeannie Green, wishing you the best. God bless you. I hope you have a very safe week. We look forward to visiting your home next week. We'll see you then.
Yakana, Tluminiu, Mikunukaka, Biuni, Tuatoru, Ilama, Anikukisot, Kumiklot, Daichanga, Yukjama, Muiskong, Lichasponga, Asitoalim, Tumum, Tunginum, Chaukaplot, Alakulasonga, alakude judge to good kluki you naklaso. Oh yakanga, built pajakni buyakluku. Oh yakanga. Tasukoputanga yakana. Yakapa.